Unfortunately, its true purpose is something much more entertainers and celebrities, by virtually every metric imaginable, this planet is in very good health. To distract people from the pedophile rings, the salon visit, and the riots, the fake news decided to report that President Trump called our soldiers, quote, losers, close quotes. This completely unsubstantiated rumor that sounds more like playground gossip was revoked by Mark Esper, the Secretary of Defense, who went on record to say that it was baseless. John Bolton even has a chapter on the day in question, and he does not mention it. So what we have is another one of their unsubstantiated rumors to which we will never get a retraction. However, we have learned a little about the anonymous source.
A very reliable friend of a girl whose sister is going out with someone very high up in the government.
Why make up all this fake news? Do they not want to accurately cover the pedophile rings, the salon visit, and the riots? It is no secret that most celebrities want you to worship at the altar of the state rather than the cross. There are a few counterexamples, but that does not override the general rule. Candace Cameron is one such counterexample. As for me, I just remember her from Full House and then I stopped caring. Either way, she does not want to return to The View. Instead, she wants to tell people about Jesus. Granted, I think that the two are inseparable and we need a godly voice like hers, but I digress. Either way, she reasons that politics has been dividing us more than helping us, and with that, I could not disagree. Either way, I wish her the best of luck. A few weeks ago, I pointed out that Harris helped prosecute a site that had done everything in its power to hunt down pedophiles. Now we have something even scarier. She supported the sponsor of a bill to make sure that pedophiles get less punishment. The item in question was SB 145 and is summarized as automatic sex offender registration would no longer apply to those convicted of, quote, non-forcible sodomy with a minor, oral copulation with a minor, or sexual penetration with a minor, close quotes. How can a child who cannot legally consent by any stretch of the imagination consent to something like this? I am going to leave it here before I say something that I will regret. 350 New York City restaurants are suing New York over the inability to have indoor dining. First off, we need to remember that not only were we lied to, but we shut down the U.S. economy over a virus with a less than 1% mortality rate. People have lost their jobs, and suicide has become increasingly more common. However, people are starting to rise up. The restaurants across the city are teaming up for a class action lawsuit against Cuomo and de Blasio. Restaurants operate on paper-thin margins, and a large portion of their income comes from in-person dining. Cuomo, de Blasio, and the rest of the elites sit comfortably, never having to worry about the affairs of us peasants. It is almost infuriating. While New Yorkers are outraged about the restaurant situation, San Francisco is upset about the gym situation. All privately owned gyms are shut down because, heaven forbid, people be in the same room as each other. Meanwhile, any gym owned by the government is still open. Because we all know that the virus spreads if you are at church, but not if you are rioting. In the same way, the virus only spreads at certain gyms. These are gyms such as those used by police officers and the like. Our boys in blue need to stay in shape to deal with rioters. But if those gyms can be open, private gyms can be open too. This past Thursday was White Privilege Day. No one noticed it because it did not exist. President Trump has been saving our country money in the very short term by eliminating positions that need not exist and cutting pointless regulations. President Trump has stopped critical race theory training at federal agencies. Apparently, these sessions not only taught nonsense like the myth of white privilege, they also taught that saying America is the land of opportunity and that the most qualified person should get the job are both racist claims. These are by their very nature divisive, as people of all melanin concentrations can have privilege. Remember that all of this great work could be undone with the Biden-Harris ticket. Speaking of race baiting, President Trump has threatened to pull funding from any school that teaches from the 1619 Project playbook. This revisionist history states that all of American history should be viewed through the lens of slavery. If true, that means they should be condemning the Democrats that fought tooth and nail to keep slavery going. Then they would honor Republicans for doing everything in their power to stop it. This is not the case. Aside from the fact that Thomas Jefferson originally put a passage in the Declaration of Independence about ending slavery, and that the Revolution sparked the first major wave of emancipation across the North, the founder of the movement and leading historians have stated that there is no history to it, just journalism. This is part of the problem with government-run schools. Imagine this scenario, if you will, for a minute. You are raped by a man who then came back to your house to kill you with a knife. The police kill him, but professional football players put his name on their helmets, and a candidate for vice president personally goes to meet with his family. That sounds like something straight out of the Twilight Zone, but this actually happened. Kamala Harris personally met with the Blake family rather than that of his traumatized victim. She was not there for sympathy for the family, she just wanted to ensure the black vote by pandering to a BLM talking point. So Kamala Harris not only supports pedophiles, but also rapists and murderers. Good to know. President Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize just for being the first black president, and before he was even officially in office. He then decided to start more wars across the Middle East than Bush could have even dreamed of. President Trump, on the other hand, takes targeted strikes to take out leaders before Democrats start weeping over the dead terrorist. President Trump has been nominated for the award because of his work to ensure peace between the United Arab Emirates and Israel. This is an actual action towards peace in the Middle East. Democrats cannot have that because they operate on fear and division and how racist Trump is. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion.